Shalawam and blessings, everybody. So here we are, another teaching, and this teaching is going to be on interracial relationships, whether we can or cannot participate in that type of relationship. And in my opinion, well, actually, I believe, I'm going to say this is a fact because it's coming out of the scriptures. The answer is no, we should not be doing it. And if you pay attention to the media and everything that's going on, whether, in all aspects of entertainment, whether you're talking about the movie industry, sports industry, or music industry, they are pushing interracial relationships. Most people that are in those industries have somebody from another original background of our people. They have somebody else, whether it be white, Asian, Spanish. They are marrying other people, both the men and the women. So it's not an attack on men and it's not an attack on women, but it's a correction on both the men and the women for the simple fact that they should not be participating in interracial relationships. And it's for many reasons. It's not just one reason, because most people that do read the scriptures on somewhat level think that the interracial relationships are not accepted under one condition. And that condition is for the fact that the person that's coming from another nation or another bloodline don't serve the Most High. Now, that's one of the reasons, but it's not the only reason. When you actually dig into the scriptures, it's for several reasons. And I have many of these reasons written down. So one of the reasons is so our sons, he says, don't give our sons and daughters to somebody of another nation, for the fact that they may turn their heart away from serving the Most High, because them coming from another nation, they most of the time serve other gods. They do other things outside of the Most High. They don't keep the Most High covenant. But that's only one of the reasons. Some of the other reasons when you properly read the scriptures are to also keep your father's tribe in the house. That's another reason. So the bloodline won't become mixed. That's another reason. To keep your father's tribe in house, and so the bloodline won't become mixed. And when I say father's tribe, that means the 12 fathers, the patriarchs of Israel. The 12 sons of Jacob. So you got to keep their house, plus you have to keep your own immediate family house, your father's house that you come from. So that your bloodline don't get tainted. That's the next reason. Another reason is because of inheritance. If you marry somebody of another nation, that means you're losing your inheritance, because now portions of your inheritance in the land, and a lot of time it is land itself. So the land and everything that comes from your fathers starts to go into the hands of the Gentiles. And you're not supposed to give away your heritage under no circumstances. And when you understand the scriptures, that's also worthy of death by the law. There's another reason. And another reason is also because many Gentiles, the ones who don't believe in the Most High, are uncircumcised in the flesh. So don't give your sons or your daughter to anyone who's uncircumcised. So these are the reasons in the scriptures that we're not supposed to do interracial marriages. Now, sometimes it did go on, but hopefully I explain most of those situations as we go and dig through all of these scriptures that I have prepared here for this lesson. And now this lesson may take a little while because I wrote a lot of scriptures down here. Old Testament, New Testament, Apocrypha, and some of the other missing books. And in a lot of the other missing books It's more information about why we shouldn't do it and what's going on. So now let's go ahead and dig in and take a look at a lot of these scriptures. Now, I'm going to have, this is an intense subject because there's so many of our people that have a Gentile wife or a Gentile husband, or they have mixed children that comes from those relationships. So they get offended, but you're just going to have to get offended. And I have a lot of friends in the Hebrew community and out the Hebrew community, and also family members that are dealing with this matter. So I know some of them that may see this video are going to get upset. But however, I don't distort the scriptures for anybody. So whoever becomes angry with this, whether I know you or not, you have to take that up with the Most High. Simple as that. But let's go take a look at the scriptures, not about what I think of, about what I say, but about what the Most High says, about what's in these scriptures. It's a big sin that we're actually doing this and allowing this situation to continue. Now we have been deceived as a people, so our eyes are just being reopening to these things. And I understand that. But once you know, and you need to return back to the Most High and start correcting this matter. The first scripture we're going to go to is Deuteronomy. That's where we're going to start. Deuteronomy chapter 7. Deuteronomy 7, verse 3 through 4. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. So, look at how it just starts off. Do not give your sons and daughters to anybody of the other Gentile nations who serve other gods. And now we got to understand, who is this actually talking about? Who are these scriptures? Which other nations? Are there certain nations that we can and certain nations that we can't? I'm going to tell you, he's talking about all the nations, and which we'll see later on, once we keep digging into the scriptures. Let's go to Exodus 34. Y'all want to stick along and watch this entire video, although it's going to be a long video. Trust me. Let's go to Exodus. Exodus 34, verse 12 through 16. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a-whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice. And thou take of their daughters unto thy son, and thy daughters go a-whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a-whoring after their gods. Okay, so again, that was just a scripture to back up what the one in Deuteronomy was saying. So again, we got to get down to the bottom of it and try to figure out which nations are he's talking about, right? Are the Pacific nations? Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 7. Let's go back. And we're going to read verse 1 through 2. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, seven nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. So, those are the nations that he was talking about, but those are not all the nations that he was talking about. Some people are under the impression the nations that he didn't mention means that you can go off and make a covenant to give your sons and daughters to them, or take their sons and daughters for your sons and daughters, right? No. And which we're going to find out in some of the other scriptures that I'm going to read. You're going to see as many more other nations. When the Most High is talking, he's talking about any nation, whether they be in the land or out of the land. Because these are some of the nations who were in Canaan land when we got there, that the Most High said kicked out. That the Most High told us, to chase them out of the land. These are those nations in the land. But he's talking about nations in the land or out of the land. We're going to get a more understanding of it. Because when we read some of the other scriptures, it's going to show that he's going to also keep adding more and more nations. But what he's really trying to tell you, he's talking about any nation that's not of your nation. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 11. 2 Samuel 11, verse 3. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, "Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" I wanted to bring that up because that's one of the major controversies when it comes to interracial relationships within the scriptures, right? Because we notice that Bathsheba, when you trace her lineage back, she come from the tribe of Judah. And this guy who was a Hittite, he was a Gentile. Now, the problem with this relationship, when you really understand it from reading the scriptures, you have to understand that David himself, he was a king. He don't know all, he don't know everything was going on among the common people, within Israel. The king take care of the major matters, but the judges and the elders and stuff like that take care of the smaller matters. So, although this marriage wasn't supposed to have happened between the two, Bathsheba and his Uriah the Hittite, David went the wrong way about doing that. He wasn't supposed to still take his wife, which was a transgress against the Most High, also killing the man. That wasn't supposed to go. Like, it's a certain procedure that you're supposed to go by when you have this type of marriage that happens in the land. Actually, her father was supposed to be dealt with, because the trespass was when you going into the law, her father was supposed to be killed. And if she agreed to the marriage also, she was supposed to be killed. That was the law behind this. And the Gentile, he was probably just doing what he was allowed to do in the land. So David went about that the wrong way and then took somebody else's wife and then also killed the man. And then it became a whole entirely different situation. So I wanted to bring that scripture out to talk about that relationship and why it took place and why it was wrong. Not because the relationship was right. The Most High didn't punish David because Bathsheba and the Hittite relationship was right. Because of how he went about doing it. That was his sin. So let's go to Ezra chapter 9. Ezra chapter 9, verse 1 through 6. And let's take a look right here. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the land, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites, and the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. Now look at that. You see what just happened there? He placed 3 more nations in here that wasn't in the other scriptures among these nations. He put the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. We all know he had the Ammonites, but then you also had the Amorites. So now you got the Amorites, the Moabites, and the Egyptians. And it's every time we read a scripture like this, you're going to see he's placing more and more nations in there because he's talking about all Gentile nations. Let's keep reading. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Ye, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. So you see that the holy seed have mingled themselves among the people of the land. That means they mixed. Now you have mixed children. You have bastard children. And a lot of people hate that word. They hate the word bastard. But that's what a real bastard is a mixed child, mixed bloodline child. And they have not separated themselves. Furthermore, they still haven't separated themselves from those people, because by law, if this take place and then you understand that you have sinned, you're supposed to go and separate yourselves. So that marriage has to end. Whether it's a Gentile wife or husband, it has to be separated. Your children also have to be separated. The people have to be separated. Now, they might be still in the land, but you cannot be mingled together because the bloodline has to be set back straight. Let's keep reading, right? This was a major trespass, as you see in the scripture, that they did this. The rulers too. And when I heard this thing, this is Ezra talking. He said, when I heard this thing, listen to what he said. And when I heard this thing, I rent my clothes. He tore his clothes and my mantle, and plucked off the hair of my head and of my beard. So now he pulling out his hair, the hair on his head and the hair on his beard, and tearing his clothes like he flipped, right? And sat down astonished. So he sat down somewhere, maybe by a tree, anywhere. He sat down astonished. Heart was melted. Like surprised, like, wow, how could you do this? This is crazy. He had no more words. Then were assembled unto me every one that trembled at the words of the God of Israel, because of the transgression of those that had been carried away, and I sat astonished until the evening sacrifice. So from day to evening, he sat astonished. And something else he mentioned here, he said, because of the transgressions of those that were carried away. You hear that? So just because you're in captivity don't mean that you're supposed to go and be making marriages with other people when you have your own people in captivity with you that you can make marriages with. So all our people who are in different lands in captivity, the U.S., the Islands, or any other continent or country, just because you were there don't mean you have the right to go make marriages with other nations. These people were in captivity too. And Ezra showed up there to that particular place in captivity and seen what they did, and he was astonished. He lost his breath. He was so astonished, he was pulling his hair out of his head and beards, and he ripped his clothes. So even in your captivity, you're not supposed to be doing it. And why? Because your own people also went with you into captivity. So it's plenty of your own people to marry in your captivity where you are. Unless you went into captivity by yourself and your own people weren't there. But the problem is we went together, so you have no excuse. And at the evening sacrifice, I arose up from my heaviness, and having rent my clothes and my mantle, I fell upon my knees and spread out my hands unto the Lord my God. So now he fell upon his knees. I mean, wow. And said, "Oh my God, I am ashamed and blush to lift my head and blush to lift up my face to thee, my God, for our iniquities are increased over our head, and our trespass is grown up unto the heavens." So this thing was that big that he did all of this, and he fell down on his knees and was ashamed to lift his head up, his face up to the Most High, and said, our trespasses of doing this marriages with these other nations have reached up to the heavens. From the common people to the rulers, they was doing it in captivity, which is still wrong. In the land or out of the land, still wrong. Let's go to Nehemiah chapter 13. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 1 through 3. On that day, they read in the book of Moses in the audience. Now, pay attention, because now you're about to read according to a law. If these mixed marriages happen, or if you had children in a mixed marriage, what you should do when you hear the law, like you're hearing the law now. So all of you who are in a mixed marriage or have mixed children, just like they did when they heard the law, unless you still believe the law is done away with. Now, if you are a awakened Israelite, you know that the law is not done away with. And anybody of our people who understand this law is not done away with, this is what you're supposed to do, just like they have done when they heard the law, and now you hearing it right now. On that day, they read in the book of Moses, in the audience of the people. The book of Moses is the law. The 5 books of Moses, those are all laws through those books. And therein was found written, and it is written in there, that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of God forever. So the Ammonite and the Moabite can never ever come into the congregation of the Most High. Now, what he's talking about right here, let me explain this. He's saying that if it so happened in the land that a mixed marriage take place and children come from that marriage. If you understand the law that a seed can be weeded back into the bloodline after the third generation. So three generations of that seed marrying back into his own people, as long as they don't go the other way. So if you have mixed children, you take your mixed children and they got to keep marrying other Israelites. And in the third generation, their bloodline is higher enough to be a full-blooded Israelite again. So that's what he means by coming back into coming back in, to the congregation of the Most High. You're coming back into the bloodline of your people. It's the same thing whether you're talking about insects, animals, plants, or people. It works the same way. The third generation, that insect, animal, plant, or the person comes back into its natural orientation of what it was or who they were. So, but he says the Ammonite and the Moabite, because of what they done, their mixed seed can never come back, can be weeded into the generation of Israel. So that's what he's saying. Never. Because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them. Howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. Now it came to pass, when they had heard the law, they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude. There you have it. When they heard the law, the 5 books of Moses is the law. From Genesis to Deuteronomy. What is it? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy. What other one am I mixing? But anyway, the 5 books of Moses: Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy. Numbers. So those 5 books, when you read through all of those books, there's laws in each and every one of them. So when they found this written in the book of the law, they separated themselves when they heard it. So if you get mad at me for teaching this, instead of actually separating yourself, then you're the problem. You are the problem. And you're going to see, as I keep reading, it's going to keep coming up. They separated themselves. They had to be separated. So just stay tuned now. Let's go to Nehemiah chapter 10. Let's go back. Nehemiah chapter 10, 28 through 30. And the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, the porters, the singers, the Nathans, and all they that had separated themselves from the people of the land unto the law of God, their wives, their sons, and their daughters, everyone having knowledge and having understanding. Look at it now. Are you hearing? It's backing it up. When they heard the law, everybody, okay? All of these people, when they had understanding. So when the law was read, they got understanding that they're not supposed to be doing this. Some do, but some didn't know. So the ones who got understanding that they're not supposed to be doing it, they separated themselves from the people of the land, okay? From the mixed multitude, not just their mixed children, but their wives, their husbands, everybody. They separated from their wives, their sons, their daughters. Everybody had to be separated. So again, you're supposed to have to separate yourself. So your marriage that you have with that person, it has to end. I understand you may love the person. I'm not saying that you don't. But now you have to set aside what is more important. What level of Hebrew, what level of Israelite do you want to be? Do you want to be the one that gives all your heart and soul to do right by the Most High? Because you have to if you want to even make it with the Most High. So when you hear it and understand it, are you willing to do it? These are the hard decisions you have to make as being an Israelite to walk upright with the Most High. They cleave to their brethren. So after they separated from the wives, the husbands, the sons, the daughters, after they separated their family, they cleave to their brethren, their nobles, and entered into a curse and into an oath to walk in God's law, which was given by Moses, the servant of God, and to observe and do all the commandments of the Lord our Lord, and his judgments and his statutes, and that we would not give our daughters unto the people of the land, nor take their daughters for our sons. So they separated and they cleave to our own people. They cleave to their own people, their nobles, their people in our land, and to do the law of Moses, which is the law of the Most High, and to never do these things again. In which, if you are in this particular situation, you have to do the same thing too. There's so many people that's not teaching this, both in Christianity and in the Hebrew communities. Because, see, the reason being is because this whole thing comes down to money, and you know what I'm saying, and them not wanting to offend people, and some of them even doing it themselves secretly because of what they want, what they lust after. And they might not want to offend people in their congregation, which bring money and also add to their congregation. So they don't want to put it away. And they'll skip around teaching this or showing these things to our people. And therefore, among them, they're pushing wickedness against the Most High. By doing this, pushing wickedness. It don't matter if the Gentile is serving the Most High or not, which we're going to see it in the scriptures. It don't matter. Because it's for more than one reason. Even if they serve the Most High, they're still supposed to marry their own people, and you as an Israelite of the bloodline supposed to marry your own people of your fathers. So where we at? Let's go back to Nehemiah chapter 13. So Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 20 through 30. Okay. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and that they should come and keep the gates to sanctify the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my God, concerning this also, and spare me according to the greatness of thy mercy. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. So Nehemiah is saying that he went to this certain place and saw that the Jews had married again and the Gentiles in this area. And they had children, bastard children, mixed children, mamzer seeds, this is what they call mamzers too, mixed children, that speak half and half language. So they speak one language of one parent and another language of the other parent. So he knew these people was dibbling and dabbling in wickedness, in mixed marriages, and having mixed children. and I contended with them. So now he gets angry. He's arguing with them. Contended means argue. He argued with them. He didn't just argue with them. Watch what else he did. And cursed them. So he argued with them and then he cursed them. He laid a curse upon them. And smote certain of them. So that means he argued with them, laid a curse upon them, and killed some of them. That's how angry he was when he seen this. Nehemiah is a righteous man, right? And plucked off my hair and made them swear by God, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. And then after all of this, he made them swear. For one, put this thing away and swear that you will not do this thing anymore. Don't give your daughters or sons to them, and don't take their daughters and sons for your daughters and sons. So he made them swear it. And if they was to go against this after he made them do it, then they would have to bear the punishment of that curse that he laid upon them. And when he said smote them, he either killed some of them or he hit some of them. Sometimes smote means kill, and then sometimes it means the person hit the other person or the person got hit. So I could be off about that one little part, whether he killed them or smoked them. And no, smoke can mean both depending on the situation of what's happening. So he either killed them or hit them. But he was arguing with them. And he either killed them or hit some of them, and he plucked his hair out. Like he was pissed, right? 26. Did not Solomon, the king of Israel, sin by these things? Yes, he did. We all know he did. All who read the book of Solomon know Solomon had many wives and he sinned because of this, right? So he's asking the question, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations were there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. So he's saying just because, Solomon was a great person, but even with who he was and being such a great person and the Most High loving him, these women still caused him to sin. So it don't matter how low or high you is, they're going to cause you to sin. Especially if they're not serving the Most High and they're serving their other fake gods, right? Shall we then hearken unto you to do all this great evil, to trespass against our God and marrying strange wives, And one of the sons, okay, I think that's, let me read. It's to 30. Okay, I had to make sure. And one of the sons of Joda, the son of Elishba, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat the Horonite. Therefore I chased him from me. Remember them, O my God, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus cleansed I them from all strangers. So he's saying that he went in and he argued with them, he fought with them, and he made them swear, and he laid a curse upon them. So he made them cleanse themselves of all strangers that they married and their mixed seed, everybody. He cleaned them out. Get rid of all of them. Thus cleansed I them from all strangers and appointed the words and appointed the wards of the priests and the Levites, everyone in his business. Okay? Remember, you're hearing this now. So if you haven't heard it before, you know now. So the question remains, what are you going to do? Are you going to get mad and continue to do it and make up excuses why you can do it? Or are you going to do like our forefathers did when they heard the law and make yourself more righteous to the Most High by separating yourselves? This is a hard walk. It is a very hard walk. And you got to be willing to do the things that the Most High says do, to be absolutely and obedient toward Him. It can't be half and half, you know. Not even a little bit. If you're doing 5% that's wrong, correct that 5%. If you're doing 90% that's wrong, correct that 90%. Correct everything. And this is a big matter. And these other nations, because they know who we are as the children of Israel, know this was a big sin unto us. So they push it on us. They push it on us every day through entertainment, through the movie industry, music industry, and sports industry, using our own people as puppets against us. They go and they sign these demonic contracts, and then they marry these strange people and they promote it as good. And then in society, everybody started to believe is what you should be doing. So now they're going out and marrying husbands and wives and having a whole bunch of mixed seed everywhere, not knowing that they're sinning greatly against the Most High and plunging our people deeper into the sins of our forefathers, which is greatly transgressing against the Most High law. So you got to ask yourself, for the fact that you seeing it all through the different types of media and through society, is this right? Why is it being played out so much on our people? Why is it being promoted so hard on our people? Ask yourself that question. And when you start to get the understanding of the Most High Word, His law, statutes, and His commandments, it gives you the answer to that. Where am I? Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11. I'm sorry, I told y'all it was going to be a long video, but I really want y'all to get this information. So if you can hang with me here, I would appreciate it. You want to get the information, you need to watch this entire video. Watch it in sections, break it up, and watch it throughout the week so that you'll get all this information that I'm bringing out to you. But don't blow it off. And before you start to just rant in the comment sections, make sure you watch the entire video first, or you're going to be very off. Because some people will watch 5 minutes of it, 10 minutes of it, maybe 20 minutes of it. And then they just, because they're angry, because they're probably one of the ones that are doing this mixed marriages or got mixed children, or they support it in some way. Maybe they're the ones that's pushing it in their congregation because of money or whatever other situation. But they'll see this video and they'll just get angry. So a lot of the people that you see that's angry in the comment sections, talking like that, they involved in it somehow. But you need to watch it before you just run off and comment if you don't understand it. Watch the video all the way through first and get all the information before you open your mouth. Before you run away and type in, all this negative comment Watch it all the way through. Get an understanding. Let's see, 1 Kings chapter 11, right? Verse 1 through 4. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. Now, as you read this, again, he added more nations to the list. He added more nations. He added the Edomites and the Sidonians. You see how I told Jesus that the scriptures are going to keep adding more nations, because it's talking about all nations, whether in the land or out of the land, any Gentile nation who are not of your bloodline people. He's talking about not just a Pacific sect. Sometimes he mentioned a Pacific sect because those are the sect that's in that area or in that land, but he's talking about collectively any Gentile nation who are not your people. Okay. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go in to them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon cleaved unto these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, and was as was the heart of David his father. So that was Solomon's great sin. Let's see. Now, we finished there. Okay. Now let's go into some of the other books that they removed, because it's important that we go into these other books. Very important. Because when you go into these other books, they removed for many reasons. Not just this reason, but for many different reasons. But you start to get an understanding of this mixed marriage is on a whole another level. Okay? Because it mentioned more things in here. So where I'm going to go first, I'm going to take you to Tobit chapter 4. Tobit chapter 4, verse 12 and 13.